All right, West Virginia fans, it's time for another episode. On Tuesday, we did a wrestling episode. We're going to do more future football episodes, but today it's time to talk West Virginia hoops. The season is nearly here. To do that today, I have my good friend, longtime reporter for the Daily Athenaeum, NJ.com, and many other outlets, Amit Batra. Amit, how are we doing today?
John, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm good now that the New York Giants showed some life yesterday, beating the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're excited about that, right, Amit?
Yeah, man. Didn't see it coming, but I'll take it. I'll take it all day.
Let's hope the West Virginia football team gives us something to cheer about moving forward after the bye week. And with that being said, also the West Virginia basketball team, which we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, man. It's an exciting time as we kind of transition to basketball season. I mean, I love going to the Coliseum, man, and witnessing those games live. I miss it, and I'm excited for the team this year.
Yeah, I got real excited to put this one together, previewing the team. We have, 15 new players this year. There's not a single point or rebound or any stat that comes back. So previewing the game is very similar to football where you don't really know what you have. So this one should be pretty fun to talk about what type of team we have. And in this video, we'll break down the schedule. We'll break down the top players. We'll break down Ross Hodge, and we'll talk about expectations going into this season. So let's get into it. So let's talk about this, man. This is kind of hard to believe, but 4 years, 4 coaches. I just want to get your initial thoughts on kind of what's been transpiring with the coaching staffs over the last 4 years.
Man, it's been an insane ride the last 4 years. Obviously, with everything that happened with Bob Huggins, and then kind of transitioning from that, and then obviously last year having a pretty solid year. Missing the tournament, but then having DeVries leave. And kind of turning things around again. So I'm excited for Ross Hodge, though. I think he's going to be, he's a great young mind in the game, and I'm excited to see what he can produce.
It feels like forever ago that Huggins was the coach, doesn't it now? I mean, it feels like ages ago. I really appreciate Hugs, miss Hugs. It stinks the way that things went out. We definitely didn't see that coming. We were hoping he had more time at West Virginia, especially what they did with that portal team they had. That just never came because obviously of his off-the-court issues. So we wish Coach Huggins well. And then you look at the Josh Eitler graphic there. And can they have made interim any bigger on that graphic? They made that very clear. But, Josh Eitler got thrown into a really difficult position. I think he did his best. And then last year, it looked like we had this thing rolling and we were an NCAA tournament team. They beat Gonzaga. They beat Arizona. They beat Kansas at the Fog for the first time in the Big 12. And things were looking up. But then the second half of the season, Tucker DeVries injury, injury.
Yes.
And then they lose to Colorado in the first round of the Big 12 tournament of when we were playing. And it just kind of fell apart. They got snubbed in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. And then 24 hours later, Coach DeVries announces that he's off to Indiana, which just makes you sick to your stomach. So in comes Ross Hodge, which we're going to talk about now. Ross Hodge, a guy that has an interesting background, made his mark in junior college basketball, as you can see at Paris Junior College and things like that, in Midland, and worked his way up through Colorado State as an assistant coach, Arkansas State, worked under Grant McCasland at North Texas, which Grant McCasland's a great coach at Texas Tech. Did some nice things at North Texas, had that connection with Ren Baker, and then ends up at West Virginia in the first year here. Amit, what are your thoughts on the hire of Ross Hodge overall?
I mean, I like him. Obviously, I'm not sure where he kind of fell in the line of coaches or anything like that. But I mean, I think he's a great young mind. Obviously, he's taking a big step going from North Texas to West Virginia, and obviously, the Big 12 is a premier basketball league now. But what I've heard from him thus far, I like what I hear. I mean, I think he's going to preach defense, and obviously, to win in the Big 12, you need to defend, and you have to rebound, and do all the dirty work as well. So I mean, I think, from what I've heard from him thus far, he's I think he's ready to go, and I'm excited to see the staff this year.
Yeah, he said all the right things in the press conference. It seems like he's a guy that's committed to be here, hopefully. And I think just from reading his body language and what he's saying, he does seem genuine and he does want to make this thing work in Morgantown. He had a lot of respect for the West Virginia brand in his press conference. I mean, he knew his stuff as far as the history goes here, and I don't think he's taking the job lightly by any means. That this is a big time basketball program for him, and an opportunity that he feels like that he can win at. So I'm super excited to watch what this guy has this year. I do think there could be some growing pains, especially with that roster turnover and a new coach, but and how tough this league is. But I think that this is a nice rebound hire off of DeVries. It'll be interesting to see, going back to DeVries, what type of season Indiana has this year, right? There's going to be a lot of pressure to win there for him because they paid him a lot of money. Um, he might be the most hated person in the state of West Virginia. There was some news about Sincere Harris that came out with a video about Tucker DeVries' injury that just resurfaced this week. So I'm not sure if you've seen that yet, Amit, but if you haven't, go check that out. It's very interesting. But I'm excited for this coaching staff and excited for this team. All right, let's get into the next thing, the non-conference basketball schedule. Not the toughest non-conference basketball schedule, but that's okay considering how tough the Big 12 schedule is. So they have an exhibition game versus Wheeling. They open it up versus Mount St. Mary's. They play Campbell. They get the Lehigh Mountain Hawks November 9th. Then they get the Backyard Brawl on a Thursday night. Then they get the Lafayette Leopards. Clemson, either Georgia Tech or Xavier, depending on what happens in that tournament. Maryhurst, Coppin State, Wake Forest, which is going to be in Charleston, West Virginia, Little Rock, Ohio State, and Mississippi Valley State. So, Amit, my first question to you is, what are your thoughts on the non-conference schedule?
I mean, I think it's a winnable schedule. Obviously, as far as non-conference, there's no blue bloods or anything like that. Some of the teams that we've been seeing in these tournaments, kind of start the year. But obviously, Pitt's always a big one in pretty much any sport. But I mean, if you start 4-0, that's going to be or at least 3-0, and then you play Pitt and you win that. That's going to be very exciting. And then obviously Clemson, Georgia, Xavier, and then Ohio State are going to be big. Obviously, we beat Ohio State a couple years ago. In Cleveland. So I think there are some winnable games here. And obviously the Big 12 is tough in itself, right? When you're playing some of those teams, I mean, it's a gauntlet of a schedule every year. So if you can, perform well in the non-conference slate, I think you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, so the Pitt game, I think we owe them a few, right? Last year, even though we were really solid of a team, Pitt was the first big game that team played together, and they absolutely dogged us. I mean, they crushed us. That was an embarrassing loss for that team. In the beginning of the series, when they restarted the series, we really had the upper hand. We were winning the majority of those games, and there was some times that we blew them out. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do at home versus those guys. So that's always a swing game in the non-conference schedule, I feel, depending on how that goes. Might tell you about the season coming up. I'm actually low-key, and I've said this before, excited for the Lehigh and Lafayette games. Lafayette, I can see from my window. So I could literally pull down, if I drove down the street, I could see the Tower of Lafayette from where I live. And then Lehigh is 15 minutes away in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So these schools are schools that I grew up with growing up around. So seeing West Virginia play those schools should be fun. I'm looking forward to just the Power 4 games versus Wake Forest, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia. I mean, even Xavier, even though that's not technically Power 4, those are always good measuring sticks and things like that. So I think like you said, it's a winnable schedule, and I think it's a chance for us to build some momentum, a nice little runway going into what's going to happen next, which is going to be the Big 12 portion of the schedule. So reading it left to right, and that's how it's going to read, is the opening 4 games are really challenging here, right? So you get Iowa State, then you get Cincinnati, Kansas, and Houston. Does not get much harder than that to open up. Then you get Colorado, Arizona State, Arizona, Kansas State, Baylor, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, UCF, Utah, TCU, Oklahoma State, BYU, which should be a really good team this year, Kansas State, and then UCF, and then Big 12 champion, Big 12 tournament. So Amit, thoughts on this schedule here?
I mean, there are no easy games in the Big 12. Each and every night, it's gonna be a test, right? Obviously, Houston made the national championship game last year. Kansas, Baylor, they've won national titles in recent years. I mean, Texas Tech has made the national championship game. This is a very, very good basketball league, and it's gotten so much better since we've even been in college, right? Like when we were there. I mean, this league is tough, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities as well, right, to boost your resume. So I think it's going to be an exciting schedule, as always in the Big 12, and there's going to be a lot of challenges. So, if you can, exit the non-conference slate maybe with like, 2 losses or something like that at best, that would be amazing going into the Big 12.
Yeah, I think anytime you finish around 500 with this conference schedule is an accomplishment. Last year's team finished around there, so that should have gotten them into the tournament. Those first 4 games are really going to be tough: Iowa State, Cincinnati, Kansas, and Houston. If you can get past those, though, it eased up a little bit, not much. I know one thing our West Virginia fans will like is there's a lot of weekend games in the
Yeah.
Big 12 at the WVU Coliseum, which is huge for people traveling down there. It's hard to get to a weekday game at the WVU Coliseum. It just is. So this place should be packed, especially if this team can show they can win early. And if they play good defensive ball and they have the identity of the West Virginia fan base, these games should be pretty packed. And we have to back this team and get some good momentum going into year 1 for Ross Hodge. All right, let's break down the roster. What do you say, Amit?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's talk about the point guards. We have first off Jasper Floyd, 6'3", 190. Started off at JUCO, went to Fairfield, and then last year at North Texas. So a guy that came over with Ross Hodge, which is nice to have a guy running your offense familiar with the coach. And then Amir Jenkins, 4-star guy, 91 overall grade, 85th player nationally. Just a real nice player, has a chance to get some decent playing time in year 1. Initial thoughts on the point guards?
Yeah, no, I think it's super exciting. I mean, Jasper obviously has familiarity with Ross and kind of the way he does things, but obviously, it's a big step up, right? Going from North Texas to West Virginia, and I mean, guard play in the Big 12 is huge in itself. Obviously, we had a great guard last year in Javon Small, so there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for the whole team. But I mean, guard play is so crucial in this league, and I'm excited to see what these guys can do.
Yeah, I think guard play is absolutely massive in this league, and like you said, we were so spoiled with Javon Small last year. It's too bad that he didn't have Tucker DeVries to kind of complement him, because that really changed the season. So, you like what this guy brings with Floyd? Like I said, the 9 points will do if he can run the offense and get it to the other guys, because I think we're going to get to a few other guys here that you're going to rely on to score. Amir Jenkins seems like a promising player. I mean, anytime you get a 4-star rating. 85th overall national player. That's really an encouraging sign. So I think a nice mix of these two running the point should be nice. All right, let's talk about some of the shooting guards and combo guards we got here. Honor Huff, a guy that I'm super excited to watch. If you like 3-pointers, if you like guys that can shoot long range, you're absolutely going to love Honor Huff. He's comes in at 5'10", 168. He led the nation last year in 3-pointers at Chattanooga. He's a Brooklyn, New York guy, which I love the tri-state area guys. It brings me back to those Final Four teams when they announced those teams, and all you heard was New Jersey and New York. And then he started off at VMI in Chattanooga, and then you have Morris Ugasak coming over from South Carolina. He's 6'4", 170, averaged nearly 6 points a game last year, and shot 38% from the field. Amit, what are your thoughts on Honor Huff?
I'm excited to see what he can do. Obviously, he came from Chattanooga and he's putting up points. So obviously shooting 42%, that's great, right, from the field, and averaging 15 points. So it's super exciting. I think one thing with this team is you're going to have a lot of scorers, a lot of people who can put the ball in the basket, right? And then with Morris, I mean, obviously he has power forward experience. So super excited to see him as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this team can do offensively. I think there's a lot of different weapons, but obviously they're going to be taking steps up from where they were in previous years.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that's a lot of questions Mountaineer fans have, and that's similar to football. Like, can the smaller school guys make that jump to the next level? I think there's a better chance to actually do it in basketball than it is football, in my opinion. Yeah, Honor Huff, man, just like you said, We have a lot of scorers on this team, I believe, and I feel like with this team, like last year, we really depended on how Javon Small did, and then you were praying other guys stepped up. Where I think with this team, you might have an Honor Huff go off one night, but then you might have a Trace and Eagle staff go off the next night, who we're going to get to. So there's a lot to like here, but I think when you need a bucket, I think Honor Huff is definitely a good option to go to. All right, let's go to the guards and the wings. All right, so let's start with the guy we just mentioned, Trayson Eaglestaff. He's a guy that comes over from North Dakota. He admit 51 points last year versus Alabama Crimson Tide, which were one of the best teams in the country last year. This guy explored the NBA, but went to the combine, got his evaluation. They said he didn't really pass the eye test, and he even admitted that in his presser this week. And needs to improve on his defense, which he hopes to do with Ross Hodge. And then we have Chance Moore. He'll be serving a 5-game suspension to start the season. But again, those 5 games get him through. He comes back. He's coming over from St. Bonaventure, which is a decent basketball program. He played at Missouri State and Arkansas. And then you have Jaden Forsythe, another one of those 4-star recruits coming in as a freshman this year. And then you have Evans Barning Jr., a guy that is from Toronto, Canada, played his basketball in DC, 6'7", 190. Amit, which of these guys excite you?
I mean, obviously, I would say Trayson. I mean, just the way he can put the ball in the basket. Obviously, you mentioned 51 points. I mean, he had 18.9 points last year. Shooting 79.4% from the foul line, 35.9% from 3. 42% from the field. This guy can put the ball in the basket, right? Obviously, defense is going to be huge too, because you have to play defense to win the Big 12. But offensively, I love what I've seen from him just watching some highlights. And then Chance Moore is another guy that I think, obviously, shooting about 47%. I mean, that's pretty big, averaging 13 points. So, I mean, these guys are all taking steps up, like I said earlier. But I'm excited to see what they can do offensively, and it'll be super exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's nice too with Forsythe too at that 4-star.
Yep.
You don't have to rely on him to kill it. You have guys in front of him, and then you kind of slowly ease him into, and then get him into his potential, right? So I think that's big. Chance Moore, man, 13 points averaged last year. That as a 6th man or something like that, we would take that for sure. If he could keep that average up. So I really like this combination of players. I think it's promising for West Virginia. Let's go over to the wings and forwards. Brendan Lorient, let's talk about him. A guy that started his career off at Florida Atlantic University, was actually on that Final Four team, believe it or not. Didn't play much on that team, but did have that experience in college. Played for Dusty May, right? Goes to North Texas, and Ross Hodge actually did some great things with him. And Dusty May said that he was actually more impressed with what he can get out of Lorient, which was a nice feather in his cap. Averaged nearly 12 points a game, 56.9% from the field. Another one of those North Texas players that you're going to rely on to bring in the culture here. And then Jackson Fields comes over from Troy, averaged nearly 8 points a game, shot it 48%. And then DJ Thomas is a 3-star recruit coming in. Amit, what do you think about these North Texas guys coming over and starting it off with West Virginia in the first year with Hodge?
Yeah, and obviously they're familiar with him and kind of his coaching style. So I don't think that will be much of a transition, as obviously they know. I mean, maybe transition as competition, but but I mean, they know his style, right? And what you're seeing, these field goal percentages, they're good. So that's going to translate, right, in some capacity. So, you shoot 57% from the field. That's super exciting to see. Obviously, this guy, Jackson Fields, shooting about 50% from the field. So what you're seeing is that these guys are efficient, and I'm super excited to see what they can do offensively.
All right, and then let's talk about the center position. Harlan Obuoa, a guy that, what's it called, 9 points per game. He's someone that has lost, I think, about around 60 pounds since being on campus. 63.9% from the field at 6 rebounds. How big of a role do you think he's going to have to play this year for the West Virginia Mountaineers?
I think he's going to be huge because, I mean, he's a 7-footer. And I think one thing last year with last year's team is that we were a little undersized, right? We were getting out rebounded in a lot of games. And I mean, to win in the Big 12, you got to defend, you got to rebound. And having a 7-footer there to, in the front court, that's going to be pretty big. I mean, obviously he's going to be a rim protector. He's going to do a lot of the scoring, a lot of the rebounding. So I mean, he shoots about 64%, which is awesome. So obviously, I think he's going to play a huge role for us this year.
Yeah, I think if there's one question mark on the team, it's probably like the center position. It reminds me of football and offensive line. So hopefully that doesn't work out like that did for us in football. But I think this guy has a lot of potential, right? And I think he's going to be a massive player on the team, keeping himself out of foul trouble and playing a lot of minutes for West Virginia because there's not too much depth behind him. Abraham Oyudir was actually on the team last year. I think he redshirted, so didn't play at all. So that's kind of the roster that we have. This is going to be like the 13 guys that you're going to see. There's a few other guys, but these are the 13 that I think you're going to see play this season and kind of be in that rotation for West Virginia. Amit, before we head out of here, I know we talked a lot about this team and things like that. What are your expectations for this team this season?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, if you can obviously, like I mentioned earlier, if you can do well in the non-conference league, that's going to set you up big time going into Big 12 because the Big 12 is tough, man. It's a tough league. If you can go 500 in the Big 12 most years, you're probably in good shape to make the tournament, right? And obviously, if you can get a couple games in the Big 12 tournament itself, but it's a brand new team, so it's kind of hard to say, right? It's kind of like last year when we were like, all right, we have a brand new team here, and we're going to see how it goes. And that team ended up being pretty good, right? So let's see. I mean, they're gonna learn pretty quickly that this is a very, very big, Big 12 is no joke. And I mean, if you can start off hot, I think you're in good shape. But I'm excited to see what Ross can do in the Big 12 here.
So they actually have a closed door scrimmage. It sounds like coming up versus Maryland. They announced that. So they said they'll put out the box score and the scoring like that, but you obviously they won't put any film out. So that should be interesting to see how we do there because Maryland's usually a formidable program. They're going over a coaching change too, so that will be interesting. I think for me, as far as expectations go, I think any year we play, I'd love to make the NCAA tournament. Right? I know that might be maybe a big ask with this group, but I think that's what we have to shoot for. Right? Is when they're doing selection Sunday and you see your name called, and then all week you're getting ready to put your name on that bracket. I think that would be a really, really cool start to the season. I think we could build some momentum off that. So I think the team has the offensive players to do it. I think just because of our coach who's going to be, they're going to play some decent defense. The question is, can these guys take the jump to the next level, which we're going to find out here shortly. Before we get off here, if you're a West Virginia fan, please remember to like and subscribe to the show. We really appreciate it. Amit, thank you for coming on. Have a great weekend, brother. Enjoy your new condo in New Jersey. So
Thank you, man.
have fun with that. We'll talk to you guys next time on JerseyEER.